All right, hey, good morning, guys. My name's Chris Akez, and this is your best life defined. So, have you ever been surfing social media and you just look at someone's profile and some pictures they're putting up about something they're doing, and you just think, oh, bullshit. They're struggling. Their life isn't that great. Or the other side of it is it just you get hit in the stomach because you're thinking, well, why the hell can't I live that life? Or why aren't I living the amazing adventure that they are? And granted, I agree. There are some people out there that just have it together. I take credit for that. I think that my wife and I, we do have it together, and there's no bullshit here. I mean, is our life perfect? No, no, it's not perfect. Right now, you're going to hear some noise from the background, and the people outside the RV park. They're trying to get this RV park up and running before summer gets here, and so you're going to hear some backup noise alarms from some equipment they're running. But so my life isn't perfect. I'm trying to do this podcast and inspire, and every once in a while you hear this beep 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 beep. But the question is, how much of an impact does social media, and for that matter, just the media in general, have on your life? And have you ever taken the time to really think about it and ask yourself, is it how much of it is actually positive? For me, when I started out on this quest to try and help you and others find a better life. I mean, capture more of the life that you want to live, and spend less time busting your ass for the things you own. I thought that social media was the ticket, and so you jump in there and you're throwing stuff up. And I used to spend hours. I think I'd spend 2 hours a day writing articles and focusing on promoting myself and my message. And in the end, what I would end up doing is when I would check it and I would look at it and I would see, okay, what the response was, it was like getting kicked in the stomach. And I guess I'm taking this from Joe Rogan, who happens to be a rock star when it comes to what they do every day. I mean, the reason I'm here is for you. It's for me too. This is an opportunity for me to reflect on my life and to become the best person I can and live the best possible life that I can. But it's also about you. It's about building a community where it's okay to be different, where it's okay to step outside your box, and where your decisions aren't made on the social dialogue that keeps pushing us to do the things we do, but rather we build our lives around who we are, and that's my goal. So within that, we think about our physical health. We don't eat too much junk food. And if I told you, well, I drink 12 pack of beer a day, and I eat 5 Wendy burgers a day, and a full fries and a shakes and all that, you'd think, well, that's crazy. But how much time do we actually think about the impact that social media and the mental information, the information that we bring into our minds, how much of an impact it actually has on our life? I mean, and I refer to it as mental junk food because, my son and I were talking, and I asked him, I says, how much time do you think people actually spend enhancing their lives with the information we have? Because we have massive information. I mean, it's crazy the amount of information and data that's out there, but how much of it actually makes our life better and allows us to live our best life? And that's kind of the question. An example, I don't follow politics. As far as I'm concerned, I'm just going to put it out there. If they're a politician, they're a thieving bastard. That's just the way it is. I don't have any political heroes. And when I watch television, and I do watch the news, I'm not sure exactly why, but I keep it limited because it has a major impact on how I do. But when you take a look at that information, I mean, regardless of what your beliefs are or whether the politician that you support is going to make your life better. And granted, there are people, I mean, on both sides of that fence. I mean, Donald Trump, for all of his misgivings as far as I'm concerned, I mean, he helps oil and gas, and he's taking care of a lot of people in the community I'm in right now. But whether you believe in that person or not, how much of that information and rhetoric are you taking in, and what is the true impact of that? See, what scares me is the hate and the anger and the dehumanization of us. I mean, the idea that someone who prefers a Democrat or takes a Democratic position on things because they're more into the environment, and I don't know if you call it socialism or whatever it is, but to actually be venomous on social media and publicly, and to scream and yell at each other over the rhetoric that these people we have never met. I've never met a politician beyond a state representative, okay? And I used to be the vice president of the union, and so when you think about this rhetoric, how can we actually allow ourselves to be influenced to such a degree that we will actually be angry and filled with hatred over people who are just like us? In fact, that Trump supporter or that Democratic supporter, that Biden supporter, he is actually more, or she is actually more like you than anyone you will ever see on TV or on social media. If they are a high profile individual, you can be assured that the reason they're saying the things they are has nothing to do with you. Because the truth is, as long as I've been a voting age, my life has never been improved by someone that I've never met. The only people in my life who have ever had impact on my life are the people that are directly related to me, or people just like me, the working class American who wakes up every day and the basic dream is to be happy, to not struggle too much for financially or otherwise, and to get to go fishing once in a while. And yet, because of this information that we are fed constantly, it changes our dynamic to where someone looks at a guy like me, and because I have a Trump hat on and he doesn't, all of a sudden I'm an adversary. When actually I'm not. I have kids just like him, I have a wife, and I have the same dreams. And it's just crazy. So again, I mean, when you think about the impact that this mental junk food has on us, and it is junk food. If I use the internet for one purpose, well, not one purpose, that's wrong. I use the internet to gain information, to increase my knowledge base for the things I like to do or I aspire to do. I mean, we're always surfing YouTube videos about the next destination and about reviewing RV parks and things like that. And there's not a damn thing wrong with that, because the reality is that we are trying to live our best life, and it doesn't do us any good to ignore resources when they'll benefit our choices. They'll improve our accuracy in doing the things we love. But I've spent a lot of time on social media, and I'll tell you, the truth is, I haven't been on it in a while other than to glance at what my kids are doing, and my life hasn't changed one bit. I haven't lost any more money. I'm not poorer because of it. I'm not more famous because of it. My life has not improved in any way because of it, except for, the interaction with children. And I think that's the gauge that we have to consider when we're talking about living our best life. Doesn't it make sense that, the standard for that is to gauge every one of your choices based on, does it make my life better? And God forbid we do not want to make our life worse. That's the ticket. That's the gauge right there. Is it improving the quality and value of my life? And for me, there are diehards. There are people out there who love social media and they live on it. But the reality is, what benefit is there in it? It doesn't produce anything. And actually, the only people that actually benefit from it are the people who own it. I guess there's a possibility that at some point I could become so good at this and gain such a following that I get some pittance of payment for every one of my followers, or I start selling products off of my website based on my following. But those are the elite. That's not the everyday working class person who just jumps on social media because they want to see what the world is doing. And I think it's a little voyeuristic. I guess it's kind of cool to be able to see other people's lives, but at what cost to ourselves? I actually have gotten to the point where when I see a post by someone, whether I like them or not, whether I'm friends with them or not, if I'm on social media looking at what my kids are doing and someone posts some crap about their political beliefs or what they believe, and it doesn't benefit me, I hide it. And the reason I hide it is because it doesn't make my life any better. And that's the reality, That mental junk food, we kind of need to keep ourselves on a diet and find some balance in that. And like I said, I used to be, I think up for the last 2 months, I spent quite a bit of time surfing social media. And I've just kind of looked at it from the standpoint of, what do the professionals do? What are the people who are engaging and making differences in the lives of those around them actually doing? And you see people like Joe Rogan and I say Tony Robbins and Oprah Winfrey and Rachel Ray. These people, they use it. Social media is a tool to make their life better. Social media is a tool to enhance the efforts that they're putting in. It's the multiplier for what they're doing. It is not the foundation of their life. It doesn't become the center of their universe. It's just one of many tools. And I think when you're looking at your life and you ask yourself, how can I live the best life possible? You have to gauge that no different than you gauge how many ice cream bars you eat in one setting or how many beers you drink in one setting, you know? So it just some thought from me. I just know that I spend a lot of time thinking about what adds value to my life and what things in my life have actually just amounted to nothing more than a perception of value, you know? So, and that brings me to the other issue of the cell phone. These things right here, you know, we're going to get into it on our next podcast, but that's another tool. It's not the end all be all. It's not the source of all information and all goodness. In fact, I actually have diminished a lot of my relationships because I was at one point sitting there and every time my phone would ding, I would pick it up. It's probably a like. Someone likes me. And there's no doubt being liked, even if it's just a thumbs up or a heart or whatever it is, or someone making a comment and saying how much they appreciate what I'm doing. Again, that really doesn't add any tangible value to my life. I mean, sure, it's a shot in my ego. Well, yeah, I'm all that, but and I guess that's the struggle is that, you know, how many times have you been engaged in a conversation with someone, or even worse, how many times have you not engaged someone because you have your phone in front of you and it dings, and the next thing you know, you're sitting there at a table, you should be eating dinner or talking or having a nice conversation with someone that you love, and instead you're looking at your phone. And again, it's mental junk food. It is, they feed us information, and I see it from the advertiser standpoint. What's the goal of an advertiser? It's to sell. And in order to sell you stuff, they've got to distract you. Because if you're honed in on your direction, if you know what your best life is and what your best life looks like, you're not going to run out and buy a $70,000 truck if that thing that energizes you involves fishing or anything like that, and that choice that you make will actually diminish the quality of your life. But it's junk food. It really is, and it's training us to be who we are. And you know, along that same line, you know, I'm watching COVID-19, and I look at these ideas that are being put out about. You've got the people who are saying, you know, it's a infringement on our liberties, and there's other people saying, no, we're gonna die. Where does that information come from? What do we truly know about COVID-19? Aside from the people who have directly been impacted by it, either had it or lost someone to it, most of us are just going off of the information that's being fed to us. And just because someone with some credibility says something, it does not make it true. I guarantee that. And again, that's mental junk food. And I mean, it would be nice if there was the source of all truth, this book or this website you could go to where no matter what you were fed, it would actually tell you, hey, you know, that's bullshit. But there's not. So the only filter that we actually have in ensuring that we're not influenced to the point that we become angry or ugly because of misinformation is ourselves. We have to step back and say, is this making my life better? Is this part of my recipe for living my best life? And I don't know. For me, I've kind of decided that social media has its place. You'll see ads every now and then, but as far as spending the time that I used to spend writing these fancy articles on these deep topics, which are important to me, but obviously most of the people on social media want to be entertained. You want to be inspired, and some of these things that we're talking about here aren't inspirational. This is not inspirational for someone who spends 7 hours a day surfing the internet and on social media, but yet their life's in chaos. They don't earn enough money and they're barely getting by. I mean, what sense does that make? So anyway, when you take a look at your life and you're thinking about all the things you can do to improve it, there's a gauge there. I mean, I mentioned the other day that I don't play video games much anymore, and it's not because I don't enjoy video games, it's because I don't enjoy video games as much as I do other things. It doesn't come with as much value as even something like this. For all the struggles that you see in me putting these videos together and putting these podcasts together, the truth is that there's a higher value for me in doing this. This improves my life, it makes me a better person, and increases my access to you and to help you hopefully see more benefit from your life, to be able to do more of the things you love and still live the life you want to live. And so we have to gauge that. If we don't gauge it, what happens? We get distracted, and the next thing you know, we're making decisions based on that desire to be happy. And happiness is not the end all be all either. But if you listen to the mental junk food, if you watch what social media tells you and what the advertisers tell you and what the news tells you, they're basically indicating or trying to direct our thinking towards this idea. And if you think about it, it's worked pretty good in the past. I mean, think about what's happened in the past. Why exactly did you choose the life you did in the first place? I mean, I'm not talking about the fact that you own a house, but there's this idea that bigger is better. You know, hey, yeah, we got this big ass house, but the truth is that house actually benefiting us in the way that we want it to? Does it actually improve our life to the degree that we want it to? And I very seldom ever hear anyone say, well, we're going kind of small. We're just going to get what we need because our house is our launch pad to our life. It is where we sleep, eat, recover from our activities, and that's all it is. I mean, and that's what our life is. I'm sitting here in the fifth wheel. You see it. You see my set? It's the corner of my dining room, all right, or my kitchen table, actually. And it's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't have any issue with someone saying he lives in a trailer. He's a podcaster, lives in a trailer house. It doesn't matter to me because this choice was based on one thing, and that is to live my best life possible. And right now, I need access to the world because that's my thing. That's what my wife and I love to do. It gives us opportunities that we'll never have we would have never had otherwise, and that's the basis. So, just some insight here. I'm not telling you what to do, but I do genuinely care, and I do genuinely want to see people who take the time to listen to these podcasts and these conversations gain something from it. I want you to walk away from it with a new idea, even if you don't agree with everything I'm saying. There are bits and pieces in here that you can apply to your life and you can make your life better, and that's really what it's about. You know what I want from you? I want you to say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate it because some of the things you've been talking about, some of the things you've been doing have made a difference in my life. I have applied it. And granted, I'm kind of off the cuff. Other than the title of this podcast, I don't have a script, because I've spent the last 10 years thinking about this stuff for my own life, applying it to my own life. And look where I am right now. I mean, my wife and I are living our dream. Is it a perfect dream? No, I don't think there's such a thing as a perfect dream. But we have access to things. In fact, right now we are playing out our decision to actually spend the winter in Florida, and we've kind of got a spot picked out, but second guessing it, making sure it's the perfect fit or the best choice for us. It's going to give us the most benefit, or we're going to get our money's worth out of it. As I said in another podcast, you might want to check that one out too. But just remember, I'm not asking for anything from you. I'm trying to give you what I've spent so much time working on. I get up every morning and I work on the book, and part of the book is about me trying to reflect on these things because, you know, that mental junk food, there is a lot of bullshit out there. There are a lot of people that'll say whatever they need to say to get your attention. They don't give two shits about you. They don't care where their choices or where they guide you, what the result of that is. They just care about the fact that they need followers and they need you to take a specific action. And they will say whatever they need to say to get that to happen. And sorry, guys, but politicians are the biggest offenders. They will tell you whatever they need. Advertisers are the second biggest. Marketing gurus, you know, when they talk about, you know, this is the best car in the world and this is why, or this is why you need to buy this house and it's going to make your life better. Imagine how refreshing it'd be if you actually got an honest ad where it said, hey, you know, this car is a really great car, but if you're not into cars, you might want to choose something else. If your energy comes from something else, then I would not get in debt for this car. No one's going to tell you that because, like I said, the goal is to separate you from your money and to separate you ultimately from your time. And there's a lot of mental junk food out there. Now you can also pick from that same plate. I mean, that's a big menu when you start talking about information, but you can grab information that benefits your life. You can learn more about things you don't know anything about. With the prospect of maybe stepping outside your box and testing it. I mean, I mentioned before, and we're headed to Florida. My goal is to get a job in some sort of hot spot wherever we stay, some restaurant or something like that. I love to cook. I love that environment. Maybe learn to be a bartender, or maybe just do dishes and hang out, or learn to be a short order cook. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like once we get down there, but Sandy and I have talked about it, and we've decided, you know what, we're going to broaden our horizons. We're going to step out there. And the reason that I'm looking at that is because What happens if that is my new thing? What happens if, on top of the podcasting and the writing that I'm doing, that I actually wake up every day excited about going to this job and hanging out and mingling with people and providing quality service and preparing good food? I don't know. I don't know, but I think that retirement is not a point when we stop. Retirement, being retired, is the opportunity for us to actually really start going after this thing called life. This is the opportunity for us to jump up and say, all right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and see what we can get ourselves into, because your life is short. And the tragedy would be for you to get all the way to the end of it and then discover that you avoided something that you actually love, I talk about that a lot because that's really what it amounts to. It's no one gives two shits about the house you own or the car you drive or how much money you have. I know we've been trained to believe they do. I used to stick my arm out the window of my truck after I clean it up and drive it down the street as if the whole world is going to stop and go, wow. But it's just not true. It's not going to happen. So, hey, take a look next time you're on social media. Do yourself a favor and evaluate the true impact of what you're doing. And if you're sitting there wasting time surfing the internet and surfing social media to see what everyone else is doing so you can walk away going, man, I suck, maybe you could put your effort into something else, because haven't really done much on social media in 2 weeks, and you know what? My phone isn't ringing. My inbox or my messenger isn't all loaded up with people concerned about what happened to me and how they really care about me or how I really had an impact on their lives. So true, honest effort based on what we love is where that's going to come from. And the information that's out there, while you can find all the information you want to learn anything you want about anything you'd like to do, the junk food part of that isn't going to happen. That mental junk food, all the crap that's out there, the misinformation that's just geared to, as they call clickbait, just geared to get you to act on their behalf so that possibly they can benefit from your distraction, not working. So, hey, I don't mean to be to chew your butt or to try and push on this with you, but it's important. I mean, no one has more than today. I mean, and we're going to talk about that in one of the upcoming podcasts, but you only have today. You're not guaranteed that tomorrow morning you're going to be here. So that's the ticket. So that's why it is so important that you wake up every day with the mindset to actually live your best life. And in order to do that, you have to gauge your actions and gauge what you're doing to make sure you're not wasting time engaged in activities that keep you away from that or distract you from that. So anyway, I'm going to continue rocking it. I am excited. I hope you're having a wonderful day in spite of COVID-19. Be cautious, be careful, be kind. And by all means, don't let what's going on in the world scare you or deter you from your dreams and from what you want to do. In fact, use it as motivation, as the reality that in any given moment, it can all be taken away. So I hope this helps. I hope you will subscribe. I hope you will check it out. As I've said before, I do have my YouTube channel, and I'm videotaping these, although they're probably not as impressive as you might think, because I don't know, maybe I'm just not good at it. But if you want to check that out, you can get a look at it. And if you want to see what I used to do, you're kind of involved in an experiment for me. I've actually decided that this is my venue. I love talking. But you get to see the progress of a podcaster. And if you look at my YouTube videos, you'll see where I was with my videos and the stuff I used to do. And it's kind of funny because I had all kinds of ideas. But anyway, that's something that might entertain you. And that is mental junk food, except for the fact that when you look at where I was 2 years ago on social media and on YouTube, and now you see where I am today, you can kind of see that I've kind of defined and honed the point of this spear. This is cool for me, and I'm starting to get into it. So anyway, I'll keep it short here. Until next time, I just want to remind you that today is your day. Make it a good one.